Okay, so today's agenda. So we're going to go over introductions. I'll give you some program information about tuition fees, scholarships, and funding, the deadline for the application and the fee, admission requirements, supplemental documentation that's required, supplemental questions that are required as part of the application, information about references. We'll go over some additional topics of discussion that you had sent to me. And then we'll have an open question and answer period. So Jane, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm one of the Graduate Affairs Assistants in the Graduate Programs Office. I support the Critical Policy, Equity, and Leadership Studies academic research cluster of programs. We have 3 different ones, but that is the one I support. So if you are accepted into one of my programs, I'll be your point contact person when you have questions.
Great, thank you so much, Jane. So Jane and I worked really closely during the pandemic. Jane started a couple months before we went into lockdown, and I used to be a graduate affairs assistant, just like Jane. Let me just say I have trained her well. So she knows pretty much everything I know. And if she doesn't, I'm also a point of contact for her as well. So I've been at the Faculty of Education since 2013. I started here as a cover for a maternity leave as a graduate affairs assistant. And I've loved it here so much. I've never even considered leaving. I've just moved around to different positions within this office here and a little bit of time outside of this office. So I will let you know we are back on site. Our on-site programs are back, but the majority of our MPEd programs are online programs. I do have to let you know my cat is really missing me being at home with her. She got really used to me being there with her, and she let me know she was not happy about me going back to work. Okay, so I know why you're here. Let's get into the presentation, all about the program as well as the application process. So for the program information, so the MPEd is a 2-year full-time professionally focused degree. So essentially there's no thesis is required as part of this program. So while I say this is a full-time program, I don't want that to worry you because this program has been designed for those who are working full-time. Okay, I actually completed one of the MPEds. I did the MPEd in Equity, Diversity, and Social Justice, and I worked full-time while I was completing this program. So it is possible and it is expected that you are working full-time. So your first year, in the fall, you're going to be working on one course. In the winter, you're going to be working on one course. And in the summer, it's 2 courses, but you're not taking them together. You take one in the first half of summer and then one in the second half of summer. So it's still just one course at a time that you're focused on. Okay, so then we get into year 2. In year 2, again, one course in the fall, one course in the winter, and then in the summer, it depends on the program that you're in, you're going to either take 2 half courses or 1 full. Okay, it just depends on what field of study you are interested in. So in the equity program, it is 2 half courses in the second year of summer. Okay, tuition fees. I know tuition is important for everybody. So with our tuition, I do want to let you know that tuition amounts are set each year by Senate, and then they're published to the Office of the Registrar's fees page. Fees are assessed every fall, winter, and summer. It's different than undergraduate courses. So fall, winter, and summer. And you are activated on a term-by-term basis. So I also like to warn students, let students know that I don't get summers off, so neither do you. The program goes the entire year, September to August every year. Also, we cannot provide an exact amount for tuition costs because tuition does increase by up to 8% every academic year. So we give an approximate cost, but we cannot give an exact amount. So like I said before, the MPEd, the Master of Professional Education program, is a 2-year online degree through Western. There's 8 half courses throughout the 2 years that you're taking. And again, the program runs September to August every year. So for the 2020-2021 academic year, tuition and ancillary fees for a Canadian citizen or permanent resident was almost $3,000 per half course. And again, you will be taking 8 half courses throughout the program. And I don't want you to furiously copy down this web link. After the webinar is uploaded to our website, our YouTube channel, I will be sending out the link where you can find it as well as the slide deck, and it will be clickable. So for funding for our MPEd students, this program is, like I said, fully online. I just want to keep reiterating that. Because we offer students flexible learning opportunities, typically students are currently working and we are expecting students to be working while they are completing this degree. Also because some employers offer subsidization or funding opportunities within the organization or even time release opportunities. Because of those, we are not able to provide internal funding for our MPEd programs. But some students do find alternative sources of funding, for example, private financial institutions, provincial governments, and this CanLearn website actually lists contact information for potential assistance programs. Okay. So we are the Faculty of Education. I did decide to put a pop quiz in here. So here's our pop quiz. Okay. So how many terms per year are students enrolled in? Okay, we have 1, 2, or 3. Great, thanks everybody. Yes, it's 3. Like I said, I have to work through the summer, so you have to go to school in the summer. Okay, so our second question is, who likes cats the most? Is it myself or Jane? That's right, it's me. Like I said, my little kitty is missing me at home right now. Thanks for participating, everyone. Okay, so let's get into the application details. A lot of you filled out that you wanted to know more about the application. So the deadlines for the application. So we have an MPEd in the field of educational leadership with a focal area of Aboriginal education. So the deadline for that program is April 15th, 2022. That program does start a bit off cycle. It's in the second half of summer that program starts. So the application's just the deadline's a little earlier. So for the rest of the MPEDs, so the fields that we're going over tonight, the fields of curriculum and pedagogy, early childhood education, educational leadership, equity, diversity, and social justice, mathematics education, and teaching students with exceptionalities, all of those programs have the application deadline of June 30th, 2022. It sounds far away, but that's going to creep up on you really quickly. So with the remaining fields, the majority of the fields listed, the applications are reviewed as they are received. So we're continuously reviewing applications. They're continuously going to the admissions committee. Okay, so if you apply early, which I encourage you do, your application, as soon as it's sent to us, will be reviewed earlier. Okay. So I do want to let you know as well, this is very important. So need you to pay attention right now. So to be considered for admission, all documents that are part of your application, including your references, must be submitted by the application deadline. The responsibility rests with the applicant to make sure that all documents, including your references, are submitted by the deadline. If you do not submit your application and all the additional documents by the deadline, your application will not be forwarded to the admissions committee. Okay. So for the application fee, it's $125 Canadian. That's payable by credit card or money order. I do want to let you know that money orders will delay the processing of your application because it will not be released to us until we receive that money order. And then it has to go through the process through the School of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies. So if you can, I would recommend paying with credit card over a money order. And I need to reiterate here again, because it's super important, that to be considered for admission, all documents must be submitted, including your references, before the admissions committee will review it. Please submit all of your documents before the deadline. So let's get into the admission requirements for the program. So what is required is a 4-year degree, which is 20 full courses or the equivalent from an accredited university. So that's what's required for a bachelor degree. Also, a minimum of 70% or B average or equivalent in the final 2 years of study. Okay. So what is recommended for admission is an honors degree. And for those who are applying to educational leadership, because there were a few, a minimum of 1 year teaching experience or experience within the field of education is recommended. And that is to set our applicants and future students up for success. I do also have a few notes and exceptions. So the Bachelor of Education, which would be the degree that enables people to teach in Ontario elementary and high school system. Those grades, as well as additional qualification grades, are not used when calculating your admission average. Also, applicants with 3-year degrees will be considered on a case-by-case basis if there's space in the available. Okay. Just a couple more notes and exceptions. So probationary status. If you don't meet the requirements, but your application is stellar in every other way, there is the option for probationary status. Okay, this, like I said, this is on a case-by-case basis, and it is up to the admissions committee. They are academics. I do not have an academic bone in my body, so I can't tell you what the probability is of you being admitted to the program. It is up to the admissions committee. Typically, the conditions are that the applicant will be required to maintain a 75% average to clear conditions, but I will let you know more information if you are granted admission with probationary status. More information will be provided in your offer of admission that comes from the Faculty of Education. So for supplemental documentation, we are looking for unofficial transcripts. No paper copies are necessary at the time of application. Okay, so if you have official transcripts, we are not going to say we will still accept them. We just want you to save them to make sure that you're admitted. So if you are admitted to the program, at that time you would be required to send us official transcripts. So what does unofficial transcripts mean? I get that question a lot. So unofficial transcripts, they can come from, I know at Western, we have what we call our student center. Students can log in and they can pull a web academic report, which lists the course that they took, the credit weighting, and what grade they received. That's what we're looking for. The course name, or sorry, the course number, what term you took it, and the credit weighting, and what grade you received for that course. But like I said, if you have the official transcripts, please send them along. Okay. We're looking for a statement of intent. So the statement of intent is your chance to sell yourself to the admissions committee. Okay. A lot of applicants write what they hope to accomplish in the program. If they have an idea for their capstone project at the end, definitely include that in your statement of intent. The limit for the statement of intent is 500 words. Trust me, those go fast. A lot of people are trying to write a letter to the admissions committee, but we're actually looking for a statement of intent. So please save that word count and do your statement of intent, not as a letter. An updated resume or CV, it doesn't matter which one, and there's no specific format for this. Some students use the Canadian Commons CV or CCCV. It's a lot of C's. CCCV. That's also acceptable. Or if you have one that you really like, that's also acceptable too. And reference information. And I'm going to provide more details on a future slide about reference information. Other supplemental documentation, we're looking for English proficiency scores if that's applicable to you. Okay, not everybody is required to submit those. A copy of a marriage certificate, if you have a different name on a previous degree and you've got married since you've had that degree and changed your name, we will need a copy of that marriage certificate to provide proof of the name change. If you are born outside of Canada, you must either provide proof of Canadian citizenship, landed immigrant status, or permanent residency, or provide your study permit or student visa when you arrive in Canada. Now, if you are an international student and you're planning on staying in your country, that is not required. Okay, this is an specifically online degree. There is no need to come to campus, so it's not required for you to have this documentation. Also, I always like to include this, any other information you feel the admissions committee should have when they're reviewing your application. So if you feel that if something happened to you in your last 2 years of study, that your grades are a little lower and you had a reason, had a life event happen, you can write a supplemental document to let the admissions committee know what had happened. I knew I was going to get back to references. So we're looking for 3 references. You'll need to provide their full name, place of employment, and their professional email address. So we do prefer that professional email address, but we understand we're not completely heartless here. We understand that some people retire, some people don't have access to institutional email address. So in that situation, you can put a personal email address. And I want to let you know, this catches a lot of people off guard. As soon as you click on save or next in the application system, an email is going to immediately go to your reference. Okay, there's like no time delay between when you hit submit, or sorry, when you hit save or next. There's essentially no time delay, so just be prepared. So supplemental questions. So we do ask specific questions in the application, and if you're preparing multiple applications, the questions differ slightly between the programs. So make sure that you give us the most updated information. Just it assists the admissions committee with assessing your application. Okay, so second and final round. I only did 2. So this is our final round here. So at the time of application, are you required to send in paper copies of transcripts? Yes or no? That's great. Thanks, everybody. So official copies, paper copies are not required at the time of application. Save your money, save the time. When will your references receive the request to fill out their information? Immediately, within a week, or within a month? Great. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for participating. Okay, so part of the RSVP form that you filled out, and thank you, everybody. I had asked if there's any topics that you wanted me to cover specifically. So I think I've covered most, but there were a few here that didn't really fit in anywhere. So varsity athletics, we don't have information about what's required for varsity athletics here, but I believe Bonnie Cooper would be the best point of contact. Bonnie is the varsity sports coordinator. Okay. Program outcomes. So these are individualized for each program. So you'll need to go to the program page. When I send out these slides, this is hyperlinked to the main MPEd program page, and then you can go into each of the specific fields of study and see what their objectives are. And you find that by clicking on objectives under program information. Okay. I said it at the beginning, but I just wanted to make sure we did not go over any information about the ABA program here. There's a webinar for that, and it's on our past events page, which Jane did provide the link for. Somebody wanted to know about synchronous versus asynchronous sessions. So most of the content that you will experience during this program, it will be asynchronous. Okay, some instructors, maybe 3 to 4 times in a term per course, will want to meet with you virtually. But like I said, this program has been designed for those who are working full-time. Okay, so if something doesn't work for you, please connect with the instructor if you're admitted to the program. Okay. I think throughout the MPEd that I finished, and I did the equity, diversity, and social justice MPEd, I think I maybe had 12 online sessions throughout the entire program, throughout the 2 years. Okay. So services for students living with disabilities, we have an entire team dedicated for our student population to support you and figure out a learning plan that works for you. I don't have that experience and expertise, but this department does. Okay, and it is for undergraduate students and graduate students. So it's included in your fees, and they take care of the students. They really do. So OSAP. I don't know anything about OSAP. I know that the rules sometimes change, but we have a department through the Office of the Registrar that is dedicated, and they know the ins and outs of OSAP and what's required. So definitely connect with them. They'll be able to help you further. I would hate to give you incorrect information, so connect with them. They are the experts. So supervisors. There are no supervisors for the MPEd program because it is a professionally focused degree. If you are looking for a research intensive degree, we do offer one. It is a Master of Arts in Education Studies, and we have several different fields under that program. Okay, and the webinar can be found on our past events page, and Jane has already provided the link in the chat. Okay, and again, it's going to be on this slide deck. Advanced standing. So this must be requested at the time of application. So if you are requesting advanced standing, and I will let you know for the MPEd program, advanced standing is extremely rare because all of the courses that you are taking build on the previous course. This program is cohort based. There's no electives in this program. It's designed for the courses to build on top of each other. So English proficiency requirements, they can be found on our admission requirements page. If you have further questions about it, please let me know. My email address is info.graded@uwo.ca. And if I know Jane well, she's already got it in the chat. So info.graded@uwo.ca is how you can reach me. I can answer any questions you have about the application process, about the programs. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Okay. So now it's time for me to hear from you. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. I will be reactivating the chat, but I do want to say, first of all, thank you for coming. Thank you for attending. If you're feeling brave, you can put up your virtual hand, and it's under reactions at the bottom. Put up your virtual hand, and then I will call on you to unmute yourself and then invite you to speak. And I'm going to reactivate the chat now. Okay, so chat should be active. Okay, Carrie Ann, you had your hand up first, so I'll take the question from you. If you'd like to unmute yourself, that would be great.
Hi, good day, Allison. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I am great. I just like to find out what's the main difference between the MPEd and the research-based masters.
Oh, okay, so I actually hosted a webinar for that specific purpose. It does the difference between the MA and the MPEd. So just a quick synopsis, the MA is a research intensive 2-year on-site degree. We do have some funding available for MA students. It does depend on the area, we call them academic research clusters, or ARCs for short. And it's just different areas of research, and that can be found on our funding page. So I'd recommend taking a look at that webinar. The MPEd is an online, professionally focused degree. So students complete coursework and then a capstone project at the end. And Jane just put the past webinar link in the chat again for me. Thanks, Jane. Okay, so
thank you.
You're welcome. I do want to
And
say,
can you use, okay, sorry.
that's okay. Just real quick before, and now take your second question, Carrie Ann. I do want to say, if you've asked a question in the chat, please be patient. We will get to it. It will slow us down if you ask the same question twice. Okay, so please be patient. We will get to all questions. Okay, go ahead, Carrie Ann.
Okay, what I'd like to know, if you were to do the MPEd, would you qualify to do a PhD program?
So I hate this answer. It depends. So I can't speak to other universities. I can't speak to other departments on campus. For the Faculty of Education PhD, it's actually on a case-by-case basis. Okay. So with that, I do want to let you know that some of our MPEd students have been admitted to the PhD programs, but it depends on educational history. It depends on a lot of factors. So Carrie Ann, if you would like to discuss that further, you can definitely reach out to me. I'm at info.graded@uwo.ca.
Okay, thank you so
Okay,
very much. Have a
thanks,
good
Carrie Ann.
one.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Okay, I'm going to go over to the chat here. So someone's asking, are there breaks between semesters? If so, how long? So between the fall and winter term and between the fall and winter term, there's approximately 1 month break between the two terms. Okay. Between the winter and summer, there's approximately 2 weeks. So 2 to 3 weeks. So not as long, but still a break. Summer is, I'm not going to lie, summer is where it does get a little dicey, but because you are taking those 2 courses, 2 half or 1 full course in the summer, it is a little more difficult, but it's manageable. Okay, I don't want that to scare you. In my final year, I'll be honest, it was horrible. I barely made it through my final year with personal work and personal things happening, work things happening, and then school on top, but it's manageable. Okay. So can you please touch upon the reputation of the Faculty of Education at Western? Raman, I see that you have your hand up as well. So if you'd like to clarify, that would be great.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for this information session. You ladies are so lovely, so I really appreciate it. And you
Thank you.
did a great job at discussing everything. So my question was just in terms of the Faculty of Education as a whole, of Western University. Can you maybe discuss upon more about the reputation? I mean, Western obviously is one of the best universities in Canada, but maybe if you could talk a little bit more about the faculty. And also, I know Allison, you and I have been in touch before, but as a graduate of the program, if you could maybe explain a little bit more about your experience. I'm curious to hear that from your perspective, since you know, you attended the program yourself. So those are my questions. Thank you so much.
Definitely, you're welcome. Thank you, Raman. So like I said, I started working at the Faculty of Education in 2013, and I've always felt at home here from the time that I started. The Graduate Programs Office does a lot of work behind the scenes that students don't even realize that we do, but we are always here. We are always on the student side. We want to see our students succeed, and we call them our students, like you don't belong to us, but you're our students. And it's like how elementary school teachers get really connected with their students. We feel the same. We are very connected to our students. We want to know if something is happening. That way we can help you strategize and come up with a plan of action. We are trying to reach out to our remote students more, our online students more. So what we did during the pandemic is we realized that we were lacking this, and we've continued it. We've started hosting virtual drop-in sessions for all of our current students. So students can, if they've got a question, they don't know where to go, they can drop in to visit one of our graduate affairs assistants. And there's 6. Are we at 6 now, Jane? Is it 5 or 6? Six people here to support you. They might not be your graduate affairs assistant, but we can get the answer for you right away. We don't like to see students flounder. We would rather have you email us than wonder about where you need to go for something. So I have previously, before I started working at Western, I did my Master of Library and Information Science here at Western. Like I said, it's felt like home. I liked the atmosphere at Western, and I stayed working. I knew I wanted to work here after I finished my first master's degree. So with the university as a whole, so we are one of the top tier research universities, and with our MPEd programs, The experts have designed these programs. So our faculty members who are in the field conducting research have developed these programs. They know where the need is. So they've developed this program, they've developed the curriculum, and they deliver this curriculum. Okay, I hope that helps. I felt very long-winded there, but I had a lot to say.
Yes, thank you so much, Allison. I really appreciate it. And one last thing I wanted to mention, I love the Faculty of Education videos on YouTube. Like, I watch them and they're so informative. So, I really appreciate all the hard work you ladies are putting in. I can't wait to be a part of the Western MPEd program one day. Can't wait.
Great, thank you. Let me know if you need anything more, okay, Raman?
Okay, thank you so much.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the chat. So somebody is saying for the three references, what is the breakdown of academic versus professional, and do they hold equal weight? So this is a professional program that you are applying to, but there are academic components to it as well. It's just a little more professionally focused than our research intensive programs. So what I would recommend for your references, have at least one of each, whether it's 2 academic and 1 professional, or 2 professional and 1 academic. Like I said earlier, we're not completely heartless. So if something has happened in your life that you have to have the 3 of one or 3 of the other, definitely get in contact with me and we can strategize and figure something out for you. So again, my email address is info.graded@uwo.ca. I think you guys are going to be dreaming that. I think everybody's going to be dreaming that tonight, that info.graded@uwo.ca. Okay. So when are acceptance letters sent? Will it depend on when the application is received? So again, I don't like this answer, but it depends. So your application will go through several different phases. So after you submit your application, it's going to get to the department that oversees us, and that is the School of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies. And because we short form everything, we call it SGPS. So SGPS will do the preliminary assessment of your application, and that's where it depends. One of the spots where it depends. It depends on how long SGPS takes to send your application to us and how long it takes to go through the preliminary assessment. So it depends on English proficiency scores and depends on if you've uploaded all the necessary parts of your unofficial transcripts. If there are questions about your application, we don't shove it aside. We do not immediately put it in the deny pile. We connect with you if we have further questions. Okay. So with that, after it goes through the preliminary assessment, it gets sent to this department. We do a little work on it, and then it gets sent to the admissions committee. So another part where it depends on when the admissions committee is meeting. So all the different admissions committees do meet at different times. So it really varies, but we know that applicants are eager to hear the outcome of their application. So when the decision is passed back to this office, the graduate programs office, we immediately connect with the applicant to let them know the outcome of their application. So if you haven't heard anything, chances are a decision has not yet been made on your application, but you can email me at info.graded@uwo.ca and let me know if you need reassurance about where your application is in the process. Sandra, I do see your hand up, but I'm going to take one more question from the chat. So somebody is changing careers and their degree is over 10 years old. So how will it impact the entry in GPA? So your application will be reviewed based on its current merit. Okay, so if you're in the middle of changing degrees, changing careers, we totally understand, and it's not going to impact your application in a negative way. That's not a problem. So with your degree, so we will still be looking at, we have to have an admission average for all of our applicants. So we will still look at at your last 2 years of study. If you have a master's, it'll still be the last 2 years of study, like another master's. We will still look at your last 2 years. If not, it'll be the last 2 years of your undergrad degree. Okay. So Sandra, if you'd like to take yourself off mute, I'll take your question.
Hi there. Thank you. A couple of quick things. I know we've been communicating a bit in email, so I just want to reconfirm a couple of things. So with respects to unofficial transcripts and that, so the program I'm in right now officially will be done next, like at the end of the summer of 22. But I would, if I was accepted for fall, officially transcripts won't be out till possibly after that. Does that hinder that part?
No,
I know,
not at all.
okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
Because we know the cycles of other universities that we typically all follow the same cycle, I'll be honest. So we know that your final transcript probably won't be available until mid-October. So we account for that. So you'll have to provide official transcripts to prove your current grades, and then you'll need to provide another official transcript that says that you have conferred your degree.
Okay.
Okay.
So that won't hinder the application
not at
acceptance component, I suppose. Okay.
Not at all. And you know what? A lot of our MA students going to the PhD or undergrad to MA, that happens a lot. So we account for that. And that will be also explained in the official offer of admission that comes from the School of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Just wanted to reconfirm that. And one other quick thing, just the references. So I'm obviously working full time right now, but I also have a secondary job, like a part-time. Can I have my reference come from that, only because I'm looking at the exceptionalities route for the master's program, and that secondary job is with exceptionalities as opposed to my full-time job. I'm in kindergarten. So I'm just wondering, will that hinder anything because it's not my full-time job, or does it matter?
No, that should be fine. Just make sure whoever you choose to be your reference is going to speak highly of your skills.
Absolutely.
Just make sure
I just
you
wanted
get
to
the
make
best
sure
possible one.
It would be more relevant, is what I'm saying, coming from that spec ed side of a reference, rather than necessarily, I mean, both of equal importance, but I was just curious if it's not coming from a full-time, because I know, as you said, we were expecting all students coming into these programs working full-time, which I am. Yeah. I just didn't want to look weird that I didn't necessarily have the reference from that, if that mattered or not. So
nope, not at all. I just don't
want to,
not at all. You're good. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay. I'm going to go back to the chat for a few questions. So somebody's asking about the ABA program and if there's going to be a webinar. Jane, can you pop the past events page in there again? So I did already host a webinar for the MPEd ABA program. Jane's going to get you the link to our past events page. If you have any further questions about it, I repeat my email address so many times in there as well, but it's info.graded@uwo.ca. Okay, so somebody's saying that they were under the impression that they had to provide 3 academic references. So Carly, I'm going to get you to email me, okay? So info.graded@uwo.ca, and we can discuss, okay? Great, thank you. Okay, I've caught up. So there was a hand up. I thought there was a hand up. Okay, if you had your hand up, put your hand up again. There's another question in the chat here. So does the professional reference have to come from someone who was a direct supervisor? Can it come from someone who you have worked closely with and can speak to your skills but wasn't a direct manager? So it should be your manager. a manager or a superior who's filling out the reference for you, who can talk about your skills, okay? And yeah, talk about your professional skills, okay? Okay, 10 to 6. So if there's no more questions, oh, somebody's got their hand up. Adriana, if you'd like to take yourself off mute.
Sure. Hi, thank you.
Thanks.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I just wanted to clarify. So just in terms of two things. So for the reference, which would be preferred? Are you guys looking, if like, let's say the options were there and we can get either 2 professional and 1 academic or vice versa, what would be the preferred option for you guys?
So we don't have a preferred option just because everybody's situation is different.
Right.
So it's going to depend. That third one is going to depend on who's going to speak higher of you, who's going to gloat about you more and speak about your accomplishments more. That's what I would focus on for that third one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. Okay. And just if it was someone, I know you guys were talking about like superior. So would this have to be someone directly you work for, like for compensation, or if you were doing some sort of placement, like if you were in teachers college and you were doing a placement and you were working with a teacher, would that still be considered a superior in terms of a workplace? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay, so it's still about 10 to 6. I'm going to end it here. I'm going to stop the recording. If you have further questions, please